What does nutrition mean to you? Welcome, gyno-curious listeners. I am Dr. Amy Novat. We are here to investigate what it means to be a healer and to be healed. Welcome to my guest today, Roufia Payman, supervisor of outpatient nutritional education at Northern Dutchess Hospital in Rhinebeck, New York, and a certified lifestyle coach for the National Diabetes Prevention Program and an instructor in Get Real Weight Results program. Welcome, Roufia. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be with you, Dr. No.
Thank you. I have to start. What does nutrition mean to you?
Food is fuel.
Mm.
And to me, nutrition means heal your body.
Mm.
To me, food is medicine. Unfortunately, I see more and more people use food as the antidepressant rather than fuel.
Mm.
And I understand, but we have to really change our ways. Treasure our food. I feel we're blessed. We live in Hudson Valley. We have access, compared to the rest of the world, to wonderful, clean vegetables, fruit. Even people who choose to eat animal protein. We have grass-fed beef. We have free-range chicken, healthy eggs. We are really blessed.
As you indicated, so much of this country doesn't have those resources, doesn't have local farmers, farms, etc. So why don't we talk about how do those folks access nutrition? How do those folks begin the journey if it's not just down the street?
To me, I'm old, so through my
She's
years
not that old.
of experience, we should teach kindergarten, pre-kindergarten, that food is medicine. And unfortunately, we don't do that. Two things we don't do in this country. We don't teach our children about nutrition, importance of really treasuring the land, and food as medicine. Not you cry, I give you a cookie. This is what's happened, honestly. For years, I used to say, it doesn't make sense. I watch families after a soccer match or a baseball game all go for ice cream. What are you doing? I mean, so at a very young age, you're taught, if you're good, treat yourself with sugar and fat.
That's right. You've already mentioned that so many people use food for their mood, and I see it all the time, where women are either overeating or undereating. And so much of it's about mood and stress. Some of it's about our family of origin. For some folks, food was a very positive experience around their family. For others, it was nothing but negative. And then, of course, we've already touched on, and then there are far too many people in this country who have no food access.
No.
So it's really tough. So when somebody comes in to see you, you're both a nutritionist and a therapist and an educator, etc. What happens when someone walks into your office? What happens?
I actually try, I understand, just to make that call to come and see me. It's really stressful to say that you need help with your food. So I give my clients, my patients, a lot of credit to make that first call or ask their physician for a referral to come and see me. I try to really get to know them. To me, food is such an intimate thing.
Oh, well put. Yeah.
And then for them, they know at some point I'm going to put them on the scale. So that's always very hard. So I really try to make them feel really comfortable. And I truly believe that food is medicine. So I ask them about their life so I get to know them. Have they been under a lot of stress, emotional or physical stress? Have they changed their lifestyle? Have they changed their job? Have they relocated? Is there a reason they have issues? Say they've gained weight, or their cholesterol went up, or their average 3 months blood sugar went up, or they have issues. They can't stop binging at night or good all day. It's at night that they start binging. So I really try to make them feel comfortable so they feel free to talk to me. And then I ask them, what time do they wake up? When is the first time they eat? And what do they drink? What do they use for a snack? So I get to know them. Life is hard. The world is out of our control. Let's be honest.
That's right.
Even I'm stressed now.
Yeah.
So my job is to teach them that I feel like it's really important that cooking for yourself is self-love. And learning to love the food that loves you back. It's hard. Changing your habit is very hard. And I will share with them that sometimes I realize if I have to go to Poughkeepsie, take Route 9, because I'm not used to taking Route 9, I always find, if I'm not thinking, going the wrong direction. So I understand changing habit is really tough. And learning, I am blessed. I grew up, I'm from Iran. In a small town north of Iran by Caspian Sea. We had garden growing up, so I had everything. Like, I didn't appreciate it then, but everything was fresh.
Yeah.
So I understand. And if they're telling me that they grew up with canned vegetable and canned food and frozen meals, I want them to make gradual change. I do not believe in severe restriction. I believe in being kind to yourself. I tell them, listen, if you leave my office, the only change you make, you promise me you try a new vegetable. You promise me you drink more water. If you drink soda, try to cut out the soda. If you drink alcohol every day, promise me limit it to 2 drinks a week. So we we are a team. And I tell them, I'm here to be your coach, your wellness coach. I'm not here to lecture you.
You're not there to shame them.
Right.
Which is been so much a part of the diet industry.
Yes.
Of shaming people that you should know better. This is a fix to it. If you don't pay $99.9, whatever it is, to embrace this new approach towards eating, then you're failing. And I just admire you so much for the way in which you embrace people and reassure them that you're human and that they're human and that we are beautifully flawed, all of us, and that food is complex.
Very much so.
Yeah. So thank you for sharing that. So I guess there are going to be listeners out there who say, oh, but if only Roufia would tell us, what is the diet of choice? What should I do? I'm sure there are people who come in with that burning question. How do you answer that question?
Well, I always tell them, truly, vegetables are your best friend. Make friends with vegetables. Try different ways of making it. And I know people are busy. I know people have very stressful lives. So I make it easy for them. I have to tell you, when I was younger, because I grew up on fresh vegetable, I was fond of frozen vegetable. Now I say, I can't do that. Frozen is as good as fresh. If I can get my patients to eat 5 cups of vegetable a day, if it's frozen bag of Brussels sprout, they can steam it quickly, roast it. At least they're eating vegetables.
Yeah.
So I have learned, I've grown with my patients. So I'm really grateful because I learned with them. And that's, I think, I listen to them. That's really important.
Yeah.
I tell them, don't skip meals. Because I can tell you, 90% of my clients who have severe weight issues, they skip breakfast. I feel really bad for them. They don't want to eat in front of their coworkers, or they just skip lunch. Then they tell me after 3 o'clock, they just can't stop eating. So I make, we negotiate. I say, how about you eat breakfast? But let's go through food items that you can really enjoy. If somebody tells me, no, I won't try, for example, egg, I say, okay, no problem. I give them a list of breakfast food choices that I always say to them, who made the rule that you can't have sardine for breakfast or hummus for breakfast? Nobody made the rule. You can have whatever you want. You can have black beans for breakfast, right? And this is how I work step by step. It's all about being kind to yourself and being kind to my clients.
And re-educating, because in this country, we grew up with Kellogg's and General Mills.
Yes.
And those companies use sugar in their products as, I see it as a drug. Because I don't know about you and our listeners, but if I have something really sweet one day,
me too.
All I want is more and more and more. And, there's science to document that it is a drug. So when we're taught as young folks, 1, after the soccer game, we get a cookie or ice cream, but 2, that breakfast is only about pancakes with syrup, cold cereal with tons of sugar, et cetera, it's the only thing we know. So, I love that in other cultures, we bear witness that you could sit down and have a hot meal that's about vegetables and a grain and eat healthy in that manner from the moment you wake up.
Absolutely. I'm known for being really hard at times because I love my clients. I treat them like they're my sisters, my brothers. I always tell them, I'm here to make a change. I do tell them, box cereal is poison. And I talk to them about, okay, you want an oatmeal? Go buy bulk oats and cook yourself oatmeal. Really, if you want hot cereal, if you want even cold cereal, adding cold oatmeal to a cup of non-dairy yogurt that is low in sugar or regular plain yogurt with some fresh fruit. It's delicious.
Yeah.
But this is how they grew up. So it's really hard to break a habit. And I explained to them, listen, I wasn't a coffee drinker. Only when I went to my education was in England. So I was drinking tea, was used to tea. once I came to state, I started drinking coffee. 45 years later, I try so hard to stop drinking coffee. I have a hard time. So I understand how difficult it is for my patient.
Yeah. And I think I also love coffee. And I say to myself, I'm disciplined about everything else I eat and consume, that I get to have my cup of coffee. That's just rationalization.
Right.
And so I'm sharing this because I'm human too.
Right.
And we all mess up on our diets. And I also think, but please, I don't know if you'd agree with me. I always say to patients, listen, if you are disciplined 90% of the time, you get to cheat.
Right.
Because, again, life is so hard and you get to give yourself some pleasure, whether it's through a cookie or cake or whatever it might be.
Or when I talk to my diabetic patients, so all my patients, exactly what I said. I said, let's be real. You did not end up where you are because you went to a wedding and you had a slice of wedding cake. I say to them once a week, have your favorite entree, and once a week have your favorite dessert. And we make joke about it. I said, my favorite dessert is pumpkin cheesecake. So I tell them, whatever you want once a week. But I also share with them, never, if your issues, for example, it's ice cream, please do not buy it and bring it to the house. Put it in the freezer. Oh, it's for my grandchildren. Oh, it's for guests. Oh, but really, we know it's for ourselves. You want ice cream? Go to the best ice cream place in town. Get yourself a cone or a cup, all right? But never bring it to the house. Because I learned from my patients, they tell me, they go to the store, they see buy one, get one for half. So they end up buying two. Whatever it is that they know it's not good for them.
Yeah.
But it's just, it's our mind tells us, especially when you go food shopping hungry, that is the worst thing you do. I'm going to share with you when I go to Adams. I'm food shopping, I'm stressed, I'm rushing, I'm hungry. First thing I do, I buy nuts, small, a quarter pound of nuts or less. Go pay for it. I'm sure they think the cashier thinks I'm crazy. Then I snack on the nuts while I'm shopping.
Oh, that's brilliant. That's brilliant. Just to remind anyone who's just coming into the program, I'm having the pleasure of speaking with Roufia Payman, a nutritional counselor and educator today. So I was curious, what percentage of folks in this country were challenged by food insecurity? And the quote I came up with was 13.5 million or 10.2% of U.S. households had food insecurity in 2021. Mm-hmm. And that part of what you and I are talking about and have to honor is that, as you pointed out, we are very privileged here in the Hudson Valley. There are a lot of resources. But for someone who has limited financial means, or again, someone who's living in a part of the country where the only thing around them is a Walmart or a big box grocery store, help us help our audience in understanding how to approach living well and eating well.
I do have clients who are on food stamps. I do have clients who cannot afford their food. So my job is to talk to them about, I know it's hard, but try to look for sales item when it comes to frozen vegetable. Sales flyer for frozen vegetable. I try to convince them to make, rather than buying packaged food, frozen entrees, which a lot of people do, try canned black beans, kidney beans, or buying lentil. It's so inexpensive. Buying dry legumes is very inexpensive. just teaching them. I think what we're lacking is teaching people. You actually can soak your black beans, dry beans, for 2 days. That's what I do, for 2 days. And then cook them. It takes, honestly, less than 45 minutes when you soak them for 48 hours. I did it for 24 hours. Takes longer. And then mix it with frozen vegetables. Try to buy rice and beans. It's not really bad. People think that's something and add some vegetable to it. I feel my job is to teach people who don't have the means to buy healthy food how to prepare foods that 50% at least full of nutrients. And that I think, because I cook that way, I'm fortunate enough, when it goes back to my childhood, watching my grandmother using,
right.
Like cooking rice with beans and add some dry dill or fresh dill to it. It's just so good. Or any kind of dry herbs or fresh herbs. You live in an apartment, you can have in a small pot, grow. It's just good for your soul. Grow a little bit of different kind of herbs. Add it to the beans and rice, which is inexpensive. And I do share with them resources in the town or in our Ulster County, Dutchess County. There are, thankfully, organization more and more in, I believe, I know in New York State, trying very hard to use food as medicine, that they can access to better food. Yet I actually had to call different places to get for a diabetic patient of mine healthy food. And believe it or not, we were able to do that. I understand it's hard. I rather people eat legumes, beans, lentil, chickpeas, black beans, hummus every day than hormone-fed chicken or beef.
Tell us why.
Because of what the hormones does to the body. You're an amazing doctor, Dr. Novak. You know what the side effect. I've really explained to them. We don't need to eat 8 ounces of steak, right? Eat 2 ounces of grass-fed beef rather than 8 or 16, or this is what I hear. I don't eat. Oh, people eat. So if you spend money for food, you're spending money on your emotional health, physical health. Truly, I believe that food is your medicine. I feel what we lack is teaching people, even on food stamp. If somebody was there issuing the food stamp, somebody who truly cared and taught them how to use their money, buying clean, healthy food, we will be a lot better off.
Yeah. I think there are many conduits to educating our populace, and one of which is starting young, educating kids about what can be totally yummy and satisfying and pleasurable that's not about the ice cream after every soccer game. And then, of course, continuing to educate adults. And I'd like to point out that this is an ongoing lesson, right? First of all, the science around nutrition is constantly evolving. As a scientist, I'm amazed at how I thought, oh, wait, I thought it was that, but now it's this. And this issue around hormones, I just want to, without getting into it too much, I just want to point out to listeners that the food industry is really rife with growth hormones and other hormones that are promoting fatter animals quickly. And these aren't healthy for the animals, and it's certainly not healthy for us humans who are consuming them. But no one's told me about it until I was, starting to learn about meat, so to speak. So it's not accessible to most people. So I guess, when would you start teaching kids about nutrition and well-being?
Honestly, at age 2 or 1.
Yeah.
Really, because I do have patients that they had gestational diabetes themselves. Now they're trying really hard to eat clean food. They feed their young kids, very young kids, avocado, eggs, lentils. Kids eat it. So really what it tells me, I feel people in my field, we are guilty. I have to be honest with you. We don't question why. Remember, in 1960, 63, 2 professors at Harvard, who I say they sold their soul to devil, they came out and said you should eat all the grain you want. That, if you remember, that you can have all the pretzels, all the bagels, all the bread, all the box cereals. Just don't eat fat, right? Even I remember I'm guilty of that too. We just followed, ADA said whatever, and
That's
we
right.
followed.
That's right.
We never questioned it. Now I say to myself, oh my God, how could I not question? My background is chemistry.
Right.
I should have known better.
Right.
Right? So I tell people our focus should be on vegetables, 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 vegetables. If half of your plate is vegetable, right? Eat fresh fruit as much as you can. I know it's expensive. I go food shopping, but moderation in life is key, right? My job is to teach my patients no food is bad as long as it's clean. I always tell people you can have cookie, but should be the best cookie in Dutchess County and Ulster County and New York State. I tell everyone, be a food snob.
What does that mean? Does that mean, I'll see people in the grocery store reading labels. Is that what you mean?
Absolutely. Reading nutrition fact, food label is really, really important. Just don't look at the calorie. Just because it says non-GMO doesn't mean it doesn't have sugar in it.
Right.
Or saturated fat in it. So it's reading nutrition fact, food labels. It's key, is really important. And the other thing really bothers me these days is people see it says keto. They buy it like, oh my God, no, don't waste your money. Just try to be, that's why I focus on vegetable and fruit, nuts and seeds. Really, that's important, very important. Walnuts are the best food for your brain, for your heart, full of omega-3. It's not salted, not sugar-coated. I never forget the first time I was buying pickles in U.S. I couldn't believe it that they add sugar to pickles.
No.
And I said, how could you add sugar to pickles? That's crazy. So to me, like, they make now chocolate hummus. I'm like, oh my God, my grandmother will be rolling in her grave. Chocolate hummus?
Right.
Hummus, it's just bad. We try to add sugar to everything.
Everything.
And so to me, it's so easy to make our own food, so inexpensive to make a hummus. I'm sure you
less
make
expensive
your own.
than buying it, that's for sure.
Exactly. I make hummus, honestly, very easy. I just sometimes don't, if I don't have tahini, I don't add tahini to it. I just use more good olive oil, lemon juice, a little bit of water, and some kind of herbs that I like. To me, cooking for yourself, prepping for you, you're worth it, right?
Indeed.
Spend 6 hours a week food shopping, prepping your meals for yourself. Knowledge is potential power. Knowing it and doing it is totally two different things, correct?
For sure.
So teaching people, my thing is to teach people, believe me, what you eat does make a difference in your emotional health, your physical health, your spiritual health.
I absolutely agree. I absolutely agree. You pointed out a number of things. One, that taking time to prepare foods is just so important, in addition to having a great meal, but you're also taking time. I'm really, I don't know if it's a manifestation of aging, but I'm really focusing on figuring out how to share with people and myself how taking time, and I'm not talking about hours and hours and hours.
No.
I'm talking about even if it's just taking a half hour where you are thinking about what you're going to eat for the week, preparing some things, is just so important for the mind and the body. The second thing I want to point out that you've also touched on is we're not just talking about calories here, folks. We are talking about the kind of the broad spectrum nutritional value of a food. And Roufia, I know that sometimes I'll look at a label, and there are a couple things I do, and correct me if I'm wrong. One, if a label has a lot of ingredients, I tend to shy away from it.
Perfect.
Two, that sometimes I look at a label and I'm like, I don't know what that is. Or, oh, those fat things. Oh, the saturated, unsaturated. These things can be extremely confusing for those of us who have not studied nutrition. If you will, quickly, if you were to look at a label, how would you tell people to approach the assessment of those ingredients in the label?
I talk about bread. The first thing I talk to my patient, bread to me, I love bread, but unfortunately, a grain is genetically modified. When you buy bread, you have to make sure the first ingredient is 100% whole grain and 100% or 100% whole wheat. When I talk about being a food snob, so we eat less. Instead of eating a whole sandwich, eat a half a sandwich. Buy organic bread. We are very lucky in this area. We have access to organic bread, right? Breads that have no corn syrup. Corn syrup is toxic for the body. No high fructose, no enriched flour, right? And if there are ingredients you can't pronounce it, then put the bread down. So I have patients who say to me, but I buy 12-grain bread. I say to them, did you read the ingredient? They charge you more, and the bread you buy is really bad. So that's, really important. If you read the ingredient, if there is like this third ingredient, fructose, corn syrup, sugar, then you don't want that product.
That's
even if it says non-GMO.
Right. Thank you. I think that's so helpful. So even, as I said, taking time to prepare foods, it takes time to shop. And what happens typically for people, from what I hear, is they get to know the products that are right for them. And then they buy them repeatedly. So it becomes habit out there, folks. It's not every time you go to the grocery store, you have to spend an extra hour reading labels. Right. You will find those products that work for you. You will avoid products that you know you're tantalized by, but that aren't good for you, and stick to it. And would you add anything to that?
Please take care of yourself. Believe me when I tell you, food is your medicine. Yes, you might say, but it's so expensive. The first 3 weeks food shopping, clean foods, you might have spent more money, my patients, 43 years of practicing, all come back and tell me, oh my God, you were right. I saved so much more money. They start feeling better within 4 days. The first 3 days, they tell me they're really mad at me because it's like getting rid of a hangover.
That's right.
But then they feel great. So I want to also talk about exercise.
Oh, thank you. Yes.
It is really important that after each meal, go for 5-minute walk inside your house, inside your apartment. Just don't go sit down. That's really, there's evidence-based study that moving 5 minutes after each meal helps with blood sugar, normalizing blood sugar. That's really important. And before each meal, even if you're at work, even if you are stressed, take 60 seconds and think of all the good things in your life. And if you do that, practice deep breathing before you eat. If you're stressed, if you're eating fast, it's really not good. And it doesn't help your digestion. That's why I always tell my patients, most Americans are on purple pills, digestive problem. Even I see it in young people.
Purple pill?
I call it Nexium, oral dose.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, this country has gotten into the habit of using pharmacopoeia, pharmaceutical products, to compensate for poor diets.
Right.
And Roufia is here to tell you, one, that there's science to demonstrate that there is an alternative. 2, that you actually feel better if you approach eating with an understanding that eating is about emotional health, physical health, spiritual health, that taking time for your food is rewarding. All these shows out there on TV that are these cooking shows, I think they make cooking seem like it's easy, and it's not necessarily. But I think what it's done is it is introduced kitchens to people and ingredients to people. So I'm not sure it always works on people's behalf, but at the same time, I like these shows because they're telling folks spending time in a kitchen has value.
Yes, absolutely. I agree. For me, washing vegetables, cutting up vegetables, therapeutic. The colors, the fact that you're taking care of yourself. That instead of people think, oh, I have to cook. No, going with a positive attitude. You're taking care of yourself. And I'm very honest. I look at my patient, I say, you have time to do your nails. You have time to do your hair. How about your inside? Your inside matters. You matter. Your inside matters. Take the time and cook for yourself.
I love that. I love that. Yeah. Yeah, we live in a world where what appears on the outside seems to be valued over what's going on internally. And again, I'm not just talking about the health of your intestines. I'm talking about your emotional and spiritual well-being as well. Roufia, is there anything else you might add to our conversation as we get to a close that you think people need to hear?
Hydrate, drink water, avoid fruit juices, or all those crazy drinks out there. Don't skip your meals. Try, if you need to, you're stressed to snack. Please go for a healthier snack. Give hummus and cucumber a try. Snack on pumpkin seed, which is so good, high in zinc, good for your immune system. Sunflower seed, try. Be brave. Try new food. And be kind to yourself. Change does not happen overnight. Be good to yourself. Make gradual changes. And please do not waste your money on fad diets. Never works.
Nope. It might work for 6 weeks and then people go back to their old habits. Absolutely. Roufia, I also want to add that for those who are listening, find someone like Roufia in your community. That there are many nutritionists around. They don't all necessarily share Roufia's point of view, but if you take a look at our website, you'll see how to contact Roufia if you'd like to speak to her directly, but also look in your local phone book, go to your local hospital, find your own resources, because there is no room for shaming ourselves and denying ourselves the lack of education and resources that are out there. Roufia, thank you so much for joining me today.
My pleasure. It was a joy to be with you. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you to my listeners for joining me as we venture into the limitless conversations about our bodies and overall health. I'd love to hear from you. Please email your questions and comments to comments@radiofreerhinecliff.org or call us at 845-307-7446. Please join me each episode, and if you like what you hear, subscribe and follow us on whatever podcast app you're listening on. Thank you to my producers, Jen Hammoud and Matty Rosenberg. Until our next conversation, stay healthy, stand strong in your knowledge and your intuition.